This is not clickbait. I'm going to give a random homeless guy $10,000 today.
So today, I have a lot of money. We're gonna be giving multiple homeless people $1,000 each.
Oh, no way! Bro, no!
I thank you for that.
If I were to tell you this man went from nothing to making videos with a budget in the literal millions, you'd probably ask me how. I'm not a genius with money, but I do think MrBeast is a very interesting topic to discuss. In particular, how this YouTuber has so much to spend on his videos, but also how he got there. Now, why would I spend $1 million on a single video when I know I'm never gonna get that back in profits? In fact, I'm gonna hand that question to you. Would you spend that money on something so undeniably silly and stupid? Well, the simple answer is you probably wouldn't. It's easy to try convince yourself you would perform such a selfless act, but in reality, most of us would keep it for ourselves. This is, in turn, where MrBeast has shined through so many others. Wealth doesn't matter to him, and that's what's left him stuck with more. However, it definitely goes deeper than that, with how he started and the smart decisions he's made to grow from there. If you're new to this channel, I like to make videos on other interesting people or topics and trying to pinpoint an area in their success. I believe MrBeast's wealth is a leading force to his success on YouTube, and because of this, I felt compelled to make a video on it. I have spent some time separating the three main factors that I believe attribute to his fame and wealth, which I'll be explaining to you in depth today. However, I think it's only appropriate to start at the beginning, so let's rewind a little bit. MrBeast's real name is Jimmy, and he was born in America, where he still lives. I think it's safe to say Jimmy's channel had a pretty rough start at picking up momentum. I mean, his first video was just a 2.5 minute long clip of him playing Minecraft. I don't think this is too far off most of our first ever YouTube videos, and back then, 8 years ago, a video like that was much more acceptable. Now, what's interesting is, this wasn't a temporary fault for MrBeast. In fact, he continued to upload very similar, if not arguably more informative content. Videos like Google Sucks and How Much Money Does Pewds Make plagued his channel, and the thumbnails certainly weren't jaw-dropping either. Now, keep in mind, back then Jimmy was still in high school, just moving into college, and if we look at his consistency over the last 8 years, I'm sure not many of you could match it. MrBeast even said in an interview that even if he had never blown up, he'd probably still be making these same videos today. If we're talking on success terms, it's pretty common for your average Joe to start a channel, make a few videos, and swiftly give up. This is, of course, because when we don't get hit with the instant thousands of views we imagined, our work feels like it has gone to waste. Why should I make videos for only 7 people to watch, when it took me hours to put it all neatly together? It is at this point that some of us figured out that effort isn't the only factor in success, but also experience. For example, although looking back at some of your old work and cringing may make you feel bad, it's actually a sign of progression. Like your hair growing out, you don't really notice it in full effect until you actually look back a bit. In summary, although there are many attributes to MrBeast's profound success, I believe consistency is what's gotten him here. However, what really propelled MrBeast into the spotlight? Well, as some older viewers of the MrBeast channel know, he used to have a series called Bad Intros. I still remember a few years ago when that was the title of MrBeast, the Bad Intros guy, rather than the generous money guy we know him for today. Now, you might notice that in this time, although Jimmy was creating successful intro videos, he had also started other ideas and concepts quite familiar. For example, cutting table in half with plastic knives, or best Walmart toilet paper fort. The thumbnails weren't as flashy and the videos weren't as rounded, but you could see the seed was most certainly planted. Later, MrBeast started to post videos in which he'd do a long or difficult task, and they were incredibly popular. Videos like Watching Dance Till You're Dead for 10 hours were bringing him millions of views, and it only went up from there. As Jimmy developed his crew, it became very noticeable the increasing quality of his videos over the last few years. The thumbnails got brighter and the titles more attractive. It's all just very, very smart. So this leads us on to the main question of the video. I believe there are 3 pretty genius steps MrBeast took to grow his money, the last of which sounding pretty counterintuitive, but also coming out as possibly even smarter than the others. The first step to MrBeast's riches would probably come down to where he first sourced his money from. Jimmy has had many sources of money that he later invested from ad revenue, but also sponsors and merchandise. Sponsors like Honey and Quid are labeled to MrBeast just because of the amount of sponsors he's done for both of them. When Jimmy had his first sponsor with Quid, he was paid $10,000. Now, instead of spending this money on a luxury or saving it for another time, he took a different option. Jimmy gave all the money he had earned to a homeless person in a video, a selfless act providing to also boost his channel a lot. This smart choice led Quid to continue sponsoring Jimmy whilst Honey joined in later down the line, as well as some others. I'm sure what you're probably questioning though is $10,000 isn't very realistic for a smaller channel. Keep in mind, MrBeast's channel was already pretty big at this point, even if he wasn't as massive as he is today. So how could we earn money to start out? Well, you could start by trying not to spend your current money on other things. But at the same time, I think MrBeast's unique take on the idea of money in his videos shouldn't really be replicated. So instead, I'd offer you to think of your own individual creative ways to make your videos whilst fitting in the algorithm. But most importantly, don't give away $100 in a video, because it's probably destined to flop. Again, with Jimmy's team and the massive prize pools he's handing out, there's no point trying to rival him in that area. But that's just my opinion on it. MrBeast's incredible charisma is probably what leads me into my second step. Jimmy is known for his kindness. Everyone who works with him can only speak about him positively. It's truly incredible to me that such a massive celebrity could be so humbled. Although I haven't ever met him in person, I think most of his crew could already represent for him. This brings me to MrBeast's crazy crew, which help create the videos. He has numerous editors and countless other people who are shown in his videos. Avid watchers of Jimmy's channel probably notice that his team seem to switch quite a lot, normally keeping the closest and switching the rest. However, I believe this step is a crucial reason for MrBeast's massive wealth. Firstly, it really shines through his incredible production quality, and it's why whenever anyone sees a MrBeast video, they click. Although clickbaiting could be considered a smart tactic, if people don't enjoy the video, they're unlikely to come back and certainly won't subscribe. I think the fact everyone believes MrBeast deserves his fanbase is just a testament to the reason he's so popular. Views equal money and more traffic to his merchandise. I'm sure his sponsors are also willing to pay more when they know they're getting put in front of such a consistently large group of people. MrBeast is a genius in the fact everybody loves his content because of his smart ideas and consistency, which a large group of people are surely to thank. I'm sure this leaves him with a lot of money to pay, considering even his friends in the videos probably get a paycheck. But I'm sure he's happy to pay for that, considering the massive return it's caused for his audience. However, that brings me to possibly the most important step: how MrBeast spends his money after he earns it. Jimmy has developed an insane system of redistributing the money he earns into more videos. Instead of buying the new fancier car with his money, he likes to spend it on his next more epic video. In fact, the entire concept of this would have been kind of foreign just a few years ago. I mean, why would you genuinely spend $100,000 on a video when you could probably fake it quite easily? I mean, seriously, it seems like a waste of money, even with his view count that he genuinely just gives that cash away. Nobody would have ever done something like that a few years ago, but with the new generation of social media, you could argue the reward is greater. MrBeast is seen as generous, which I'm sure he is, and he's growing in the process. But you might wonder, if all his money goes back into his videos, how is he so rich? Well, I think a good analogy of this are those mobile games. You know, where you spend money to upgrade things, which then make you money faster. It becomes exponential, and that's what MrBeast is doing. If he were to stop spending money on his videos today, I'm sure he'd still be collecting millions monthly. Now, he has a reputation, he doesn't really need to keep putting in this amount of effort, but he does anyway. And that is probably why Jimmy is scheduled to overtake PewDiePie in the next year or two. So, what's the takeaway from this? How could one of us reach the same level of riches as MrBeast? Well, it's clearly a case of generosity here. I know it sounds stereotypical, but Jimmy's attitude is what got him here. Keep making videos, because if you don't, you'll never be recognized. I really like the general rule of making 100 videos before you start questioning your channel. If you haven't really made at least 50 videos yet, I can tell you that you still have a very long way to go. Sure, MrBeast's numbers are large, but I don't think he cares about them much. What's more important is that your content keeps improving, and trust me, people will notice. And with that said, thanks for watching this video. I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you want to help make that possible, you can do so by subscribing.